Israel's ambassador in Canada says that his diplomatic team in Ottawa feels safe but must remain vigilant after two Israeli embassy employees were shot and killed in Washington, D.C. Iddo Moed said that the embassy is shocked and devastated by what happened and that staffers have to be aware that the risks are greater than ever before. Ambassador Moed joins us now. Thank you so much for being with me, Ambassador.
Thank you for having me.
Now, can you describe the immediate impact that the incident in Washington had on your diplomatic staff in Canada?
Well, we look at our colleagues and we know that they're doing we are and them, we're doing the same thing. We've had our annual Independence Day celebration event this week, and actually just before this happened. And so when I say that I feel safe because we see that the Canadian authorities take all precautions necessary to make sure that we have our events in the most safe way possible. But we also think about the fact that there are some people who are led by such vile incitement to anti-Semitism and very hateful, not only hateful, but can be also lethal anti-Semitism. People are led to action, people are pushed to action sometimes, and those who are desolate, those who are disconnected from society may take action. So we have to be vigilant. And not only that, we have to be prepared to do whatever we can all together. It's not just us at the embassy, but everybody around us, all society, to combat this hate, to combat this incitement, this very aggressive form of anti-Israel hate marches that take place on the streets, all of that. And so, again, I find in Canada and specifically also here in Ottawa, wonderful interlocutors who understand very well the immediate threats. What worries me more is the longer term. How do we get out there and do whatever we can to uproot this hateful incitement to action, which actually threatens our societies, not just here, but everywhere around the world?
And what was your reaction to the Green Party candidate's comments about the embassy murders? And how are these appalling comments taken by you and your staff?
Well, I was not aware of these comments before, and I think that it's just appalling that anybody applauds the murder of an innocent couple, beautiful 20-year-old couple, Yaron and Sarah, who met while they worked at the embassy, and were planning. He was planning to propose. Yaron was planning to propose to Sarah next week in Jerusalem, and we just can envision this beautiful sight of them meeting at the kotel or wherever it would be, and creating a new family and so on, and all of that is all of a sudden destroyed by this delusioned person probably who took their lives. It's horrendous, and so we should look at that not as something that happened far away. It happened here. It's very nearby. It's in Washington. It's North America, and we should understand that this hate and this incitement can push people everywhere to take action, and a wrong action, something that we must really not just deter but prevent. And so it's in my mind, this is a call to action to everybody to look around and to raise the awareness, but also work more focused on ways to improve education, law enforcement work, everything that can be done.
Well, today the UN Secretary General called on Israel to allow the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. But in a video released last night on X, Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel has sent 92,000 aid trucks to Gaza. What is the reality on the ground in Israel right now?
The reality on the ground is that there are 58 hostages being held in the dungeons of Gaza. 20 are alive, the rest are not. Among them, the remains of the Canadian Judy Weinstein Hagi, who was a peace activist who was driving Palestinian families from Gaza Strip to Israeli hospitals to provide for them transportation to get to medical services and treatments that they couldn't get in Gaza. That's our reality. The reality is also that while we are fighting this war, which we could have, decided in one move, one military move in half a day and conquer the whole of Gaza, we've been going very meticulously trying to get as many civilians out of harm's way, those who serve as human shields for for Hamas, try to get them out of harm's way, but still fight Hamas terrorists. And at the same time, provide humanitarian aid or facilitate the movement of humanitarian aid into Gaza. What we are doing now is trying to make a new system work, the system that was devised by the US, and to make sure that the Palestinian population gets supplies as much as possible. But it is a very complicated process because Hamas is, of course, stealing that aid that comes in and store it. And you can interview Gazans as many as you like; they'll all tell you if it's getting into Gaza, it's getting into the hand of Hamas. So there is a very complicated system. UNRWA, for example, a relief organization that is supposed to be helpful in that, has been very, very disruptive and destructive in this role. At least those of the UNRWA that were part of the Hamas attack on October the 7th. And so we have to be very careful when we're talking about the United Nations. What kind of a role can they play? What we've done is work with other humanitarian organizations like the World Kitchen, the World Food Program, and others to try and facilitate the flow of aid into Gaza.
And your prime minister said that Canada, the UK, and France are on the wrong side of humanity with their joint statement. What was your reaction when you first saw that comment, but also that you were summoned by the foreign affairs minister?
So Prime Minister Netanyahu referred to the fact that when Hamas thanks a country, that needs to call people to a pause and to a moment of reflection. What does that mean? And I would add to that that when this happens for the second time, this is not the first time that Hamas is thanking Canada. It's the second time already. First time happened in December 2023 when Canada voted for a resolution to call for a ceasefire in the United Nations without talking about the hostages, without ending the war in a way that is conducive to Israel. So that's a moment that countries need to really stop for a moment and reflect. What we've also said is that threatening Israel with action while we're trying to defend ourselves against Hamas, while we're trying to extract the hostages out of Gaza, is something that we cannot do anything with. We have to do whatever we set out to do in this war that was inflicted on us, that was forced on us on
Ambassador,
October the
I'm so
7th.
sorry. I do have to interrupt you. We've ran out of time, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.